What's up, ladies and gentlemen? BC here. Welcome again. I'm rocking the Distinguished Agent shirt. Shout out to all the Distinguished Agents out there. I think when I tallied up at the end of the year, Distinguished Agents, like that middle baseline kind of program that I have, I created the Agagi. Then I have Distinguished Agent, which most people get on. Then I have Limitless. And I believe we've tallied just over 1,000 people who have joined Distinguished Agents. So salute to all the members from the past, the present, and the future. It's been amazing. This is the shirt that I gave out at the last event. I think we had 100 people, 120 people, some of the members, and we did it in Columbia, South Carolina, right? So if I can get 100 people to come to Columbia, South Carolina, I'm pretty sure I can get hundreds of people to go anywhere else, right? So let's start. Business Planning Mastery. All the other stuff is in the description. Make sure you check it out. It's a limited time offer. I shared the stories on my Instagram and Facebook, but the world has changed, right? The world has changed. Social media, real life, everything has changed a lot the last couple of years. What people think of when I say that is the lockdowns and the virus and this and that, but there's been so much more to it than that, right? Let me bring this up, right? Just so you guys understand, generally speaking, this type of stuff is normal. All you need to do is look at history, okay? Look at the world right now. It's praised, okay? Think of this. Take your feelings out of it, right? Regardless of where you stand on it. It's praised now and worn as a badge of honor to be, gay, LGBTQ. Think of that whole world, right? That's praised now and clapped for and cheered for and fought for. What was it, 100 years ago, 150 years ago? Those same people were persecuted, killed, right? So in 100 years, the culture just in that one sector and this one thing has completely flipped in regards to what people would say or society would say is the right thing to do, right? So again, regardless of where you fall in that argument, it's changed and the consensus, generally speaking, is different, right? Both, again, we're being cheered, but they're the exact opposite thing by the same society, okay? Gets you to think a little bit. So, and all these other things, the world is going to change. Again, think of in relationships, right? Men and women. The roles are kind of flipping. The attributes and what we do as men and what women do, right, is being talked about and flipped, right? I've been talking about that shit for 10 years. And it's interesting to me that, I've been talking about that stuff for so long and it was shunned and now it's mainstream, right? Which is pretty funny, but we're seeing all that stuff change. Again, generally speaking, regardless of where you fall, of what you think about it, right? So therefore, what does that mean for you? You need to adapt. Making 100 grand 10 or 15 or 20 years ago was a shitload of money. Now, not so much, right? The new 100 grand right now, I would say, especially if you're in a bigger city, is probably 250. You got to be making double that. You got to be making 20 G's a month. That would be 240 for the year to be in that tier, right? And 10 or 15 years ago, you make 8 grand a month. You're the man. That's about 100K, right? It's like 8,200, right? 8,250, whatever it is, right? That has changed. Inflation has changed a lot of things, right? The internet has changed the game. You look at like a place like Blockbuster where I used to work, that type of store and that type of idea gone, replaced totally with the digital era. A lot of stuff has changed in the world, but people still view things the same way. Now, some things remain the same. Some things are going to remain the same or change slightly. Some things are radically going to change. Okay. Look at how we relate to each other as human beings right now. We're combating each other, men and men, women and women, men and women, and vice versa, because of the propaganda being put in the media, but also because socially we've gone backwards. Everything is through the apps now. Okay. So the world has changed in that respect too, where people go online to talk instead of in person. I was noticing that, the last 2.5 years that I moved here to Miami, people are social, sure, but compared to before, not as much. I'm finding more and more people, even that I approach and talk to, are awkward, right? Even after they warm up to me and they start getting more comfortable, it's like still like, dude, you're awkward. You're socially awkward. But again, if you don't have the confidence, you think, oh, you're awkward. But in reality, it's them and you, right? That wasn't the case. A long time ago, we were a lot more cordial with each other too. So everything and everyone is changing. You're seeing stuff happen, right? Technology's coming in, AI, right? All these things. And you have to take this in stride, because I think one of the biggest mistakes that people are making right now is they want to fight all this shit. Certain things, sure, fight it to the death. But other things, you're not in control of them. You're not in control of them. So it's wasted energy, time, and resources, and effort, and mental capacity, and energy to fight them. Focus on things that you know you need to change. Like right now, the social aspect would give you a tremendous advantage in every area of life, because we're moving into a world where 20, 30 years ago, you needed Hollywood to build your name and a brand. Now you have these platforms to help you explode. I created a name for myself, a niche, status, whatever you want to call it, money, abundance, a lifestyle for myself, partly due to this stuff. I had tremendous success on the retail side, and I continue to in regards to business and real estate and sales and that tactical stuff. But the online stuff has opened up a door that otherwise, unless I had TV or Hollywood, right, I would have never had that opportunity unless it was for these online platforms. Couldn't do that before. So the world has changed in that. Even in the short time space that I've been in social media. When I started doing social media 10 years ago, well, more now, right? It's almost been 11 at this point, right? We're getting old, right? When I started, I was laughed at, made fun of. You know, even when I would talk to clients in real estate, they're like, social media video, what the fuck are you talking about, right? And then a couple years later, 3-4 years later, I'm noticing even that in that short time span has changed. I'm seeing the older generations on their phone. I'm starting to be asked first if I'm doing video and social media from clients. I'm like, whoa, how quickly this thing has changed. So some things at a very rapid pace can change. And the main message as we continue is you need to be a step ahead. You need to be in the game, paying attention. Because some of these things, if you're in a volatile area, business, right? Especially in business, you can be wiped out before you can even blink if you're not prepared. Like, think about the turn of the century when in real estate, everything went online. The multiple listing service, the MLS, went online. I would hear stories from the veteran agents from certain people saying, that's a fad. It's going to fail. We're not going to have to do it. We're still going to stick with the old MLS books, right? That's dumb. They resisted it and resisted it and resisted it, and they never got with the times. Now, when you look today, everything is still online. We didn't go back to those books that they would print every 2 or 3 weeks. I remember hearing the stories from the agents, right? There was a moment in time where that ended and the new era begun. And you had to get with the program, whether you liked computers and the internet or not. I personally do not like a lot of this stuff. It's great, but at the same time, right? I don't personally love it. I think it's silly, a lot of it. But hey, I create. It's the world that I'm in. So I'm going to play the game and play it at an elite level. But going back to the MLS stuff, those people are out of the business, or if they were stubborn and they're like, no, I'm going to stick to the old ways, they eventually got phased out. And because they didn't adapt to the times, see you later. And a lot of people get caught in that because of ego, because of pride, because of stubbornness and all this stuff. When in reality, you need to take a step and look and say, okay, what's going on in this world or this area that I'm playing in, whether it's business or personal or whatever it is, right? Through that, you can also have the ingenuity and creativity in your mind to create something. Think about like Blockbuster and then Netflix and these online things. They saw an opportunity. Hey, people don't even have to go to the store anymore. First, they came out with a little red box where people now could just do it through the machine. And then from there, it became streaming services and online. Now there's streaming services. You can get cable through YouTube. Maybe the traditional, cable companies, I haven't looked at the statistics and the data, but maybe they're going to be phased out and it's going to be purely streaming and traditional cable is going to be out. I mean, all this stuff is constantly happening. But if you're a step ahead in your thinking, you can take advantage of this. I did that in a way with YouTube and social media. I brought the real life young entrepreneur building a business, sales, real estate to the forefront to people, and it blew up, right? Now, I wasn't thinking that per se, But what I was engaged in and my progress naturally evolved into that. I was one of the first people to do that. And now it opened up a door for a ton of people and they're doing it. Cool. What's going to be next? I don't know. But whoever figures that out and gets on it first is going to win. Look at real estate. Traditional brokerage, now we have cloud-based brokerages that offer stock options and revenue share. That alone will make me millions in the last couple of years. Just that, the stocks and the revenue share. And that's passive and residual income. That's very safe for me. One of many streams of income that I have. That's cool. It's fantastic. Then I can leverage my brand to grow that. Dude, that's my reward for playing in the game and taking advantage of it, right? Are you a player or are you a spectator in this thing too? Because the world is changing in that sense where the spectator before could do pretty well and do the thing. Now, if you're a spectator, you're going to get eaten alive. You need to be a player in the game. Before, you could be maybe above average and you would still do really well. Now, unless you're really good, you're not going to make the money. That gap, that 80-20 rule is becoming more 85-15, 90-10, 95-5. In a lot of industries and a lot of things in life. People are now realizing, hey, the model of 50 years ago of go to college, get my degree, get this high paying job, get married, have kids, and do my thing and ride off into the sunset. Either people don't want that, or now you can't. Because even when I graduated college, when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, right, back in like 08, 09, people then couldn't get jobs. It was like 50 to 75% or something of students couldn't get a job. And so the degree that would get you that high paying job 20, 30 years before now doesn't do shit for you. 20, 30 years ago, you were made fun of if you said you wanted to be an entrepreneur and not follow that route. Now, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. You see? I can go on and on. We're 20 minutes in and I've already... Right? So, again, that's life. Life is dynamic. There's no stagnant state in the universe. Right? You're either getting better, you're getting worse, right? Every day we're getting older, right? You're either getting in better shape or worse shape. All this stuff is happening and moving all the time. Where are you on this? Are you sitting there observing? Or are you actively involved in this process? You see? That's why me as a brand too, I'm always innovating, rebranding, changing this and doing that, keeping it fresh, right? You have to. Because especially from a marketing standpoint and a branding standpoint, unless you're already a powerhouse like Coca-Cola and all those, household brands that have billions of dollars behind them, you need to stay relevant. You need to stay. I've always bridged the old school stuff in business with the new school stuff because I've been at the forefront with social media and technology. So I've done both. Even though people view me as old school, look around. I still have one of the largest followings. So the social media aspect, I've cracked that code and I did a long time ago. Yeah, if you are new and you're just following me now, you don't know my past of hundreds of thousands of subscribers on YouTube and all that stuff. Cool. You wouldn't know, but that's there. People still haven't touched my old numbers from 4 or 5 years ago. So that was done. I just didn't put it at the forefront because all the other stuff that I did led to that. Right? But even back then, when people made fun of it, I still jumped on that. And what did I do? I paid attention to key indicators, right? If you haven't heard the story, a couple things jumped to my mind when I was in that transition 10 or 11 years ago. Making videos, not to blow up, not to get cool, more as like a personal diary and because I had a chip on my shoulder. But I remember walking into the office one day. Two things happened, right? One, I walked into the office and Sergio, right? One of the guys, right? Sergio Martinez, right? If I'm going to say it all American. Salute to you, sir. He'll probably never watch this. I don't know if he still follows me. One of the top agents in my office at the time, killer cold caller, had my video that I posted the day before on YouTube on his screen and he was watching it. And I walk in like, dude, I'm a fucking rookie. Why are you watching my video? Right? I never asked him, but I thought that was cool. Later that day, same day this happened. Later that day, my mind is turning. I'm like, man, I want to enhance my follow-up, right? I hate, even though I know it's a part of the business, I hate when I call people and they don't answer or I hit them up and they don't respond. Started sending videos as my follow-ups too. Still called and all that, but I would also send videos. And I noticed, hey, when I send the video, everybody responds. When I send a video, everybody thumbs up, texts back, calls me back, says something. Bingo. Video's the future. Right then and there, the light bulb went off and I said, the world has changed. I stumbled onto something here. And where we're at today, where I'm at today, where social media is today, I saw that shit 10 years ago. Not specifically, but I knew it because it was eliciting responses, getting attention of the successful people, and it just worked. It was enhancing what I was doing. And I realized this is it. This is it. So I jumped on it early because I saw the potential of it. And I saw where we're at now in a way. It's almost like you get a vision. You don't know what's going to happen in the future, but because of what you're paying attention to, these indicators, you're a step ahead because you see potential and you see what this can turn into in the future. Even if you don't know quite what it is specifically, you're like, there's something to this. And many of you can relate to what I said. If you've been on this where you're working hard and you're focused on what you need to be focused on and not just sitting back being fucking lazy. When you're actively involved in your progress and growing, right? The next thing is revealed to you. You get these understandings and downloads, right? And it's like, okay, because you're actively involved in that process. That's your rhythm. When your rhythm and focus is future, evolution, progression, growth, that's what you get fed and that's what you see. When it's not, you don't recognize it because you're not paying attention and you're not on that wavelength, right? So I spotted that. I'm being rewarded for it. And I'm still on that forefront all the time. And even now, we're seeing some things revert. Look at social media. What's becoming more and more popular now? Transparency, authenticity, not the false promises and all that shit that was big for 5 or 6 years and all those scammers that came out, right? We're coming full circle and coming back to that realness, that rawness, kind of like what I've always brought, right? That's what initially helped me explode on my first channel. It was just transparent, dude. Hey, remember that Audi that I bought? This is why that shit was a bad decision, right? And I talked about my mistakes. I talked about my wins. I talked about everything. I shared with people as much as possible about me and my journey. And people weren't doing that at the time. They wanted to present, and they still do to this day, the squeaky clean, perfect image. And I was there like, yeah, some days I win, some days I lose. I cuss. I wasn't politically correct. I had killer suits. I didn't follow the traditional model, right? I would wear the crazy shoes when I door knocked. I mean, I did everything wrong by their standards, but it fucking worked. It worked, and it continues to work. I was showing them I'm actively changing the game, but I see the opportunity here. I see the response that I get when I show people who I really am, when I talk about my fuck ups and all this stuff, when I don't just show the glory moments, when I walk you through good decisions and bad decisions, when I walk you through the reality of something, when I'm just direct and honest with people about certain things about business and life and real estate and all that kind of stuff. It works. Now we're coming back to that, right? Cool. But are you spotting all this stuff, right? Same thing with before. Social media was chronological before. If you posted, everybody saw it. Now it's not. Now it's paid content being pushed primarily and what the algorithm wants to push, which is the reels with the music and all that shit. And a lot of that stuff, believe me, y'all, I don't like doing it. I think it's stupid, but I at least do some of it to make sure my stuff gets in front of people, because on top of that, my shit is censored and flagged. You know how many messages I get from people like, whoa, I have your notifications on. I don't see shit. Some people still can, but it's like 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 100. Right? But the world has changed. Before, you wouldn't get censored. Now you do. Different ball game, right? So you have to make your adjustments. I had to recreate a lot of my stuff. I had to make a new Facebook profile, a new YouTube channel, right? And we're still fighting it on Instagram and all these other things. It's fine. Like Instagram shows me how much money I could be making, but they say, oh, you violated the community guidelines, so you can't be monetized. I used to get thousands of views on my stories. Now I get 100, right? I get less than you guys that have probably a couple hundred followers. And I have 40-something thousand followers, which, by the way, has stayed the same for 5 years. The world has changed. That's an example of it. I have to fight that. Cool. No problem. I'm still going to do it. And that's a shining example for everybody. If I can fight it, having to start over, not create it, start over again, why won't you even start for the first time? That's the question. Especially when it comes to social media. Well, BC, you're already established. That makes it even worse. You know how hard it is to start something over again when something was unjustly taken away from you? That sucks, dude. I shouldn't have to do this again, but I'm willingly doing it with a fucking smile on my face. And I'm doing the other one, like starting up a business meetup, a networking group, right? Hit me up on Instagram if you're in South Florida. I created the group and channel, right? We're already going to post the event. It's going to be amazing. And we're going to have a lot of people. That's being built from the ground up by me. So I'm involved in the recreation and also the first inception of something, right? But I'm noticing what's changed. I'm noticing it. A lot of stuff, because it changed, I offered it to people, the coaching and all this other stuff and help, right? I remember when I first started getting on these platforms, I didn't want to do any of that. People, oh man, please create like a course or something. I was like, dude, why? And then I started doing it. And the messages, oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. I'm like, fuck, apparently people like it and it helps them a lot. Cool. But that void was able to be filled because these online platforms created a way for people to connect with the whole world like this. I gave them access to people and things and knowledge that before weren't. They had to only go to their public library, right? Or hear from the, the town's scribe or ancient philosopher, right? If they had one. So even from an acquisition of knowledge standpoint, the world completely changed. Giving you access to people, figures, and information that maybe you wouldn't have come across ever in your life prior to the inception of the internet and social media. Pretty interesting stuff, right? So you got to ask yourself, man, am I taking advantage of all this stuff? Where am I resisting? Where am I going forward? Am I really utilizing what's in front of me? Because most people aren't, man. If I hadn't documented my journey, I would have none of this online and I would just still be a successful person in business and real estate, probably. Who knows what I would be doing? But now I've amplified that and I've done this stuff online and I can do whatever I want. My brand has transcended that stuff and it's cool. And I keep growing and evolving and doing this and doing that. It's fucking fantastic. And it keeps the creative juices flowing. It serves its purpose. It helps people. It's great. And I'm enjoying this. But see, the world has changed and it's going to keep changing. And that always has to be this statement. The world has changed has to be in the forefront of your mind at all times, guys. Otherwise, you're going to be behind the 8 ball and you're always going to be playing catch up instead of being in the front. Like imagine the people who got on Bitcoin when it was brand new. Imagine the people like in real estate who got on EXP and some of those models the first day instead of waiting years. They profited the most. They're the ones laughing all the way to the bank right now. Pay attention. Stay ahead of the curve. Use the creative juices, right? Take advantage of this stuff. There's a lot more opportunity out there. A lot more abundance than you think. You're just not finding it because you don't view it from that standpoint. You're looking at it from a pessimistic standpoint instead of an optimistic standpoint. Okay, cool. Make sure you guys check out the stuff in the description, the Business Planning Mastery and all the other stuff. Hit me up if you have any other questions. Appreciate you guys coming on. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.